He didn't want to stop. The day had been long and the sky was dark gray, bleeding into black. The building caught his eye, only because of how wrong it looked against the trees. Too square, too still, too forgotten. No windows, the doors were open, but nothing about it felt welcoming. The sign out front had been fucked up, but a few letters still clung to the rusted metal. Unveil state. Gravel crunched under boots as he stepped closer, one hand resting on the grip of a flashlight clipped to his pack. Nothing dramatic, just what happens to a building when time forgets a place for too long. Inside, the halls were wide and cold. Old scuff marks from wheelchairs still lined the edges. Names were carved into some of the door frames. Paint was peeling like old houses do when no one gives a damn. He walked room to room, mostly dust, broken furniture, and the kind of quiet that presses on the eardrums. Then he saw it, a door with the name Bucky Hoover carved into it, or what was left of it. He froze, something about that hit like ice water. The door creaked open, a desk sat against the far wall, drawers open, papers yellowed and brittle. He reached for a drawer with a sock hanging out, but noticed something else tucked beneath the overturned chair, half buried in fallen ceiling plaster. A journal, thick, black, hand stitched. He picked it up and opened to the first page. The handwriting was uneven but deliberate, the kind of writing you do when you're trying to stay sane. Page 1, clear, tight script, like someone trying to hold it together. They told me to write every day to track my thoughts. I'm not crazy, I just saw something they didn't want to see. That's different, they keep giving me the wrong name. I tell them I'm not Daniel, Daniel died. He never made it past the fire, but they write it anyway. They write it everywhere. I scratched it off the wall again. They painted over it again. I scratched it off again. Page 2, edge of smudge, repetition forming. Who keeps giving me someone else's memories? I was in the bathtub when the ceiling opened. It blinked twice. Every meal is the same color, even the red ones, especially the red ones. I chew and smile, cause that's what keeps the door from locking longer. Page 3, handwriting trails downward on the page. Yesterday I heard my own laugh before I made it. It circled the drain in my sink for 23 minutes, I counted. They said I made that up, but then why was the water warm? Page 4, ink pressure heavy at the start, fading as it goes. Someone keeps replacing the mirrors with windows. I saw someone wearing my skin, but it didn't fit them right. I told the nurse, she laughed, she never laughs. That's how I knew they switched her out too. Page 5, torn edge, water damaged in one corner. I saw the man in the blanket again. He's made of teeth that smells like copper. He hums songs I've forgotten, dreams I never had. He said the end already happened, we're all just twitching. Page 6, pencil gouged deep, almost carved into the page. They let me outside again, 5 minutes, no shoes. The gravel said my name, but not with words. The nurse told me it's the meds, but I haven't taken them since Friday. That was 6 weeks ago. Why do I taste Play-Doh when I think of her? Page 7, edges soaked in some kind of dry stain. I found a worm in my blanket, but it wasn't squirming, it just stared. I named it truth, it's quieter than the others. Page 8, written vertically in the margin, like an afterthought.
They changed the smell of the hallway, I know, because it used to smell like bleach. Now it smells like waiting. Waiting smells like me.
Page 9, half erased, rewritten over and over. She's not real, she's not real, she's not real.
Then how did she braid my hair?
Page 10, scratched in a shaking hand, slanted downward like it was written under the bed. If you cut out the word no from the medication labels, you get the name of the man who watches me sleep. He hums through the radiator. The doctor told me radiators don't hum.
So then who is he?
Page 11, lines in all caps, every third word circled. I don't belong here. I remember the building falling. I remember the rising. I remember the nurse smiling before her eyes went black and white. Page 12, bottom corner just says this in tiny print, looped over and over. He's inside the power outage. He's inside the power outage. He's inside the power outage. He's inside the power.
Page 13, drawings cover the page. Room sketch from 4 angles, not right. Better reel her room. The drawings don't match the real room, but I've never seen it from the 3rd angle. So how did I draw it? Page 14, written with a lighter touch, almost tender. She was humming the same thing as me. We hadn't spoken, she was on the other side of the hallway. The glass fogged up when I looked at her like the wall. Breathe, I mouthed, what's your name? She mouthed back, do you still feel real? Page 15, burned edges, ink bled through 4 pages. They replaced me again. I watched him look at the mirror and smile the way I never do. I think he sleeps in my skin, but I don't mind anymore. He doesn't dream of her, he doesn't remember the fire. He's safe, I'm still burning. Page 16, final entry, writing clean, slow and certain. If this journal is found, ask what happened to patient number 3462. They erased her name, but I didn't forget. She didn't belong here, she told the truth. They buried her in the staff garden behind the old cafeteria before the expansion. Page 17, the last page, blank except one deep line etched hard. Truth is a diagnosis here. The man closed the journal. He slid it into his backpack carefully, zipped it and stepped back out into the night. Everything in that notebook was specific, and it meant someone had known exactly what was happening. And no one ever stopped it.